So coming up this weekend might be one of the most important boxing matches of all time. It's Wings of Redemption taking on Boogie. And it's going to be an interesting one. And I don't really know why I'm predicting it, but I feel like it's just a big enough event for people to get interested. People are talking about this. It's a bit of a circus. It's an interesting one, and I am actually looking forward to it. It's going to be a bit of a mess, though, right? But I've watched like documentaries on these guys. I've watched them like some sort of training footage that I've been able to find, and it doesn't seem like these guys are training at a gym. It doesn't seem like they're sparring. It doesn't seem like they've got a friend that's going to be fighting them as well to kind of simulate the fight. Like maybe if they had a friend that just like, hey, like, can you do me a favor and just like fight me every day? You know what I mean? We can just do some light sparring to get ready for the fight. It doesn't really seem like neither of these guys have done that. And in my opinion, whoever wins this fight is going to be the person that wanted it more, the person who wanted it the most, the person who was in the best shape, the person who did the most work will win this fight, because it doesn't really come down to who's going to be the more technical fighter, who's the better fighter, who can exploit this and that. They're two guys, Wings of Redemption's almost 40, Stephen Williams is almost 50, they're both pretty out of shape. It genuinely is just going to come down to who wanted it more and who did the most training, because it's going to be 3 2-minute rounds, and you might think, wow, like 6 minutes a fight, like 2 minutes rounds. It is going to be a lot harder than it sounds, because if you are boxing and you are constantly throwing combinations, even if you're just hitting pads, and you haven't really done it for a very long time, especially like these guys, it is taxing, you know what I mean? And these guys, I believe all of their training for both of them has just been hitting a bag over and over and over and over again, and whoever has done more cardio, whoever even reached out to a boxing gym, because I don't think neither of these two did it, but if I was one of these two in this situation, I would have just reached out to a gym, a local gym or something, and just said, hey, I've got this pretty big boxing match coming up, you know, I'm pretty popular online, there's going to be a lot of people talking about it, I'll pay you so-and-so this much, or maybe a percentage of the amount of money that I get, if you could please just like put some time aside and just train me, you know what I mean, for this matchup, because neither of these two are going to be very technical. If you do watch like the documentary that's made on them, they're not really the most technical fighters. You wouldn't expect them to. They're both 400 pounds. But they're just training on a heavy bag, and they're throwing a lot of jabs. And all I noticed was a lot of shots to the head. You know what I mean? Like, all they're doing is they're just throwing jabs over and over and over again. And then it's followed up by, like, some sort of sloppy overhand every single time. That's all they're doing. Whereas, in my opinion, if I was in their situation, I would, obviously, I'd work the body, you know what I mean? Because this is going to be taxing on both of these guys. Both of these guys, I would be surprised if they could run 100 meters. And that is going to sound disrespectful, but it is kind of true. And when these guys are fighting, they're going to be moving around the ring. You know, they might be circling around the ring. They're going to be moving side to side. They're going to be walking around. And these guys, as I said, it's going to come down to who's got the best cardio. Because as I said, I would be surprised if these guys could run 100 meters. And they might travel a total of 100 meters throughout the fight. You never know if they're walking around, if they're moving around. But personally, I don't really think that's going to happen. I think these guys are probably going to stand still and just throw. Just going to throw sloppy hooks. It's going to look like they're swimming. It's going to look like they're throwing shots like Juliana Pena versus Amanda Nunes before she knocked her down for the second time. I don't know if you remember that, but Juliana Pena come in like this, and then Amanda Nunes just smacked her with a good right hand and put her backwards. But I think that's what's going to happen, dude. I think this is going to be a sloppy matchup, but it comes down to who wants it more. Who got out of bed in the morning and ran around the block? You know? Who got out of bed in the morning and hit the heavy bag non-stop for a minute, took a bit of a rest, hit the heavy bag non-stop for a minute, took a rest, hit the heavy bag non-stop for a minute, took a rest, and then later on in the day after a rest or doing whatever they do, like they probably just make YouTube videos or stream, then went for another run, and then did it again. You know, who's doing that? Who's putting in the most exercise? Who's putting in the most cardio? Who's even eating healthier than the other? Who's going to be in the best shape will win this fight, because these guys will gas out in the first 90 seconds of the matchup. I've got no doubt in my mind. You just saw it in the weekend. UFC, Braxton Smith, a professional athlete, gassed out 90 seconds into his fight. He was fighting Parker Porter. He spent the whole fight kind of throwing his sloppy overhands like this. The whole fight, just chasing him down in 90 seconds. All it took was Parker Porter to put him in the clinch, hit him with a good knee to the body. A key in this matchup as well, whoever goes to the body would probably have a lot of success. And Smith was done. He had absolutely nothing after that. He was done. He was gassed out. He quit pretty much. He just lay there, blocked himself while he was just getting pounded away on. He had no way to get out of it. And even then, we've seen it before. Eduardo Neves, when he took on Michael Parkin on Dana White's Contender Series in 2022, Eduardo Neves, once again a professional athlete, 5-0 as a professional in the heavyweight division in MMA. He was throwing down. He was smacking up Michael Parkin. He had Michael Parkin rocked at one point, but Parkin was good to it. He was clinching against Ed Neves, was Parkin. And in 90 seconds of the fight, all of a sudden, Neves' power, all of a sudden, Neves' cardio went off a cliff. He had absolutely nothing, and Parkin finished him soon after. These guys will gas out. They're going to gas out probably in the first minute of the fight, because they're going to be moving around probably more than they've ever done in the last 20 years of their life, probably. They're going to be doing more exercise probably than they've ever done probably in the last 10 years of their life, honestly. And they're going to be fighting each other, and fighting someone takes a lot of energy, because not only are you trying to throw your punches, not only is throwing punches very taxing, receiving punches is also taxing, especially if they go to the body. Now, everything that I saw suggests they're not. Because for Wings of Redemption, when I watched his highlight in the documentary, all he was throwing was to the head when he was throwing these boxing combinations. And same with Boogie. I watched Boogie's highlight of his training or whatever. Once again, all he's doing is training punches to the head. And I think there's just a big opening to punch the body for these guys, right? Because they're both not really trained. I don't believe either of these guys hired a personal trainer or went to a gym. The body's open. These guys have massive bodies, right? They're huge dudes, and I feel like the body is going to be so open because they're probably going to be so worried about blocking the head, because if you've had no training in your life whatsoever and you think of how a boxer kind of fights, you always just kind of think, oh, you always just guard the head. And that's probably what these guys are going to do. They're going to come out and they're going to probably guard the head, or they're probably going to have their hands maybe around here or so or whatever, and they're going to be trying to block their head. I don't know. I mean, I'm not them, but also I don't know what they're kind of thinking a boxing fight should look like, but they're not going to be able to block the body. They've probably never practiced defending for this fight. They probably never even practiced defending the body, and the body's going to be wide open, you know what I mean? Like, maybe they could set up with the jab and then go low with the body, you know what I mean? Or they could just jab to the body the whole fight, because I feel like these guys, they're not really going to know how to defend shots to the body. They're not going to know how to defend shots to the head, and even then, if these guys just work the body, the hands will drop, right? Because they're so worried about defending the body, and then you can throw these crazy sloppy overhands that they're going for on the videos. But I think I've overanalyzed this fight so much, because it truly does just come down to who is in the better shape, who is fitter, who is healthier, who worked harder for this fight, who woke up in the morning and went for a run, who woke up in the morning and decided, you know what, I don't want to train for the boxing fight today, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it the next day. Who woke up in the morning and ran around the block? Who woke up in the morning and hit the bag for a minute straight? Who woke up in the morning and went to a boxing gym? Whoever went to a boxing gym probably wins this fight just automatically, honestly. Whoever just went to a local gym and just said, hey, can you train me for an hour, maybe every few days or whatever, or whenever you're open, can you put a little bit of time aside for me because I've got a fight coming up? And yeah, honestly, or even who just called up a friend and say, oh, hey, I'm fighting Boogie, or I'm fighting Wings of Redemption. They've never had a fight in their life, so they don't really know what they're doing. And can you just fight me? Can you just spar? Can we just fight in my backyard for maybe once a week, once every few days? Just so we can fight. You know what I mean? So I can kind of know what a fighting environment is gonna be like, because if these guys have never been punched in the face before, it's gonna be very interesting, right? Because especially if they get a bleeding nose, if someone gets a bleeding nose, they're gonna be like, oh my god, it's over, I don't want to continue, this is too much for me. Or even if someone gets hurt to the body, dude, or even what if they just their bodies give out on them because they're not fit enough to keep this up? This is a lot of questions that are gonna be answered. It's such a interesting fight, and I do look forward to it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun. And it's going to be a very interesting bout. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. I feel like I've overanalyzed this. This is almost a 10-minute video talking about Wings of Redemption versus Boogie. I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown, though. 69% of people are going with Wings. 31% are going with Boogie. I think Wings win, dude. He's 10 years younger. Boogie's almost 50, right? And Boogie, as I said, like he seems to be in worse shape than Wings of Redemption. I don't know who's taking it more seriously, but whoever has taken it more seriously just wins by default, honestly, and that's what it comes down to. I've made that a 10-minute video. I've done very well for myself there, and I'll see you guys in the next video, of course.